Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Pipeline. It's just me this week, just me chatting. Um, Hope everyone is having a good night. I know it feels like it's been forever since it's just me talking, just me chatting. Of course, if anyone wants to jump in, that I get, that'd be fine too. But for now, it's just me tonight. Stranger in the chat, stranger. Taz also in the chat. Taz, if you are free and you do want to hop in, let me know. I would be happy to have you. But yeah, no, we have brand new episodes of both Superman and Lois and Gotham Knights. It feels like these episodes are coming a lot faster. Like it feels like just week after week, it feels like these shows are just coming out at a really fast rate. And it kind of makes me sad because we're heading towards we got about 7 or so episodes left. We're over halfway through this season. And that's kind of sad to me. But, kind of right before, as we kind of are jumping into this, before we get into some of these shows, some of our topics for today, I do have some like headlines and stuff like that I would like to go over and talk about. Of course, the big thing of today, like the big massive headline is let me get this out of the way real quick. Here we go. The writer's strike that is currently going on, right? And of course I want to say hello to everyone, Levi and Taz and Stranger and all the amazing people that are here talking. So obviously we have the big writer strike today that has officially started, and it's affecting shows kind of everywhere, from like Cobra Kai, from like Jimmy Fallon, from a whole bunch of separate places. And I would like to hear what everyone's thoughts are on this writer strike. And I think it's such an awkward situation to talk about because obviously we love these shows, right? We love talking about these shows. We love interacting with these shows. Um, but also we want to support these people. Like we want to support all of these writers. And it's kind of hard to like ride that line of kind of being disappointed about some of these shows not happening, but also wanting to support these actors and these writers that are obviously going through this. Yeah, I am also just kind of curious how quickly this is all going to last, right? I think that there's obviously going to be a chance that this lasts a while because we haven't had one of these since like what, 2008, 2009. Um, it has been quite a minute. So yeah, when was the last time? I'm gonna look this up real quick, just really really quick. I think it was like 2009. I bet some of you guys would know that more than me. Let me look it up just really really quick. Just give me one moment. So it was 2007 through February 2008. So yeah, I think the last one was what, about 8 9 months or so. Um, so I'm very curious because I think that this time around there are a lot more bigger things at stake, right? Like streaming is now a thing, and forgive me. Okay. Sorry, just real distracted there for a second. Um, but like streaming and like AI and all of these things are like totally a thing, and totally a thing that I think is going to be different this time from last time. And yeah, 2007. I am very sorry guys. I was not prepared. Um but I honestly I would say for those, and this is something I've been doing for the last 2 years now, is I've been exploring older shows. I've been exploring shows that I have never seen before. And I would say within the next 5 months, if this thing isn't kind of wrapped up, I would maybe check out some older shows that we haven't seen before. I've been watching Doctor Who, and I've been watching Fringe, and I've been watching like Korra and all these amazing shows. But I did really want to bring this up. I really did want to talk about this, and I feel like we will get more stories on this going forward. And I think like this month is going to be very interesting, looking at because this month is also like the renewal season, right? Like this is the month where we would normally learn what's getting another season, what's not, what's canceled, what's ending, all that fun stuff. I know Superman and Lois we should be learning something about really, really soon. We should also be learning about, and I know Fox yesterday. I don't know if anyone saw the Fox thing from yesterday with like 911 moving over to ABC and how like I wonder how much of that was about the writer strike or just the natural move for the show anyway. But yeah, no crazy stuff. I am going to be kind of very curious as we move into the next couple of months and how this story does progress. So this is I want to talk about this news really, really quick. We haven't really talked about too much Marvel stuff on this podcast because it is normally a DC TV podcast. But I do think as we move into June and Secret Invasion, I might drop the DC TV part and just do like a TV podcast. We'll see. We'll see. But Craven the Hunter. Now this came out about a week ago. Crazy, really, really crazy stuff. So Craven the Hunter, a movie that has been deeply I don't want to say hated, but like speculated over the course of the last couple of years. Of course, with Venom, not a lot of people not really liking it, and Morbius. Morbius, I'm sorry. What up, Robert? Being a movie that a lot of people didn't like. People have been very speculatory towards this movie. I've been really excited for it. I've been like really curious to see how everything kind of comes together. But Craven the Hunter is going to be a rated R movie. Now, I don't know why. When I thought back to Venom, I thought I remembered it being rated R, but I guess it's not. Like I guess it wasn't rated R. Which is kind of crazy. Which is kind of crazy to think about. I am very excited to see what they're going to be able to do with this movie. I think rated R superhero movies are really, really cool. I don't know if we've had a bad one. Like I think Deadpool 1 and 2 are really fun. I think Joker was a lot of fun as well. And I hope, and I assume with like James Gunn kind of stepping in and doing a lot more things with his cinematic universe. I think rated R. I think adjusting the audience for superhero movies and the kinds of movies that they are going to be making is going to change rapidly fast because I think the tread line of superhero movies is dying. The very family friendly jokes every 5 seconds, type movie is dying. And I think they realize that. And I think that this is a good direction for this character. I'm curious what the box office for this is going to look like, though, because I know Venom, and I think Venoms have done pretty well, but I know like Morbius and stuff like that didn't do that well. And I think with superhero movies as a whole haven't been doing as well as they used to. So I'll be curious to see what a rated R superhero movie about a character that, let's be honest, modern audiences probably wouldn't know much about, right? It's gonna be kind of interesting. Let's see. I think that's more about Disney considering their assets. Yeah, I agree. I think it is mostly about money and was probably in motion before the writer's strike, but who knows? I am hesitant with Craven, honestly, just because of his. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I'm excited. Honestly, I know a lot of people aren't excited for the like change in character where like normally he would hunt animals and now he's going to be like a Tarzan type character, but I think this would make a better transition into live action, into like a solo movie. I think when they are dedicated to making these solo movies based on characters who normally aren't solo, they have to make a lot of changes. um let's see. But you have to realize Marvel won't do that. Won't do what? A rated R? Wouldn't do what? But no, I'm very excited for this. Also, we learned that Rhino will also be in this movie, which made a lot of people really excited. I think Rhino was like the switch for a lot of people from like not being very excited to suddenly just getting really, really hyped for this. Um, and I'm excited for Rhino. I think that I hope make a rated R superhero movies, but like we are is the thing because we're getting um Surprise, surprise. Look at who it is.
Hello, hello.
Oh man, was not expecting that. Great to see you, man.
Good to see you as well. I was just like, I'll watch the shows while they're airing tonight. I was like, oh, let's see if Darren's streaming. I was like, I'll pull that up. I'll listen to what he was thinking while I'm writing up a script for my Gotham Knights stuff. So,
I thought about asking you, but I didn't know if it was fair to ask you 2 weeks in a row.
I mean,
Um,
I'm here somehow. I'm just luckily things lined up.
no, man, you are welcome anytime.
I
So
appreciate it.
so we were just talking about this Craven the Hunter news that came out about a week ago. What
Hmm.
do you think about this? Though about a rated R Craven movie?
Yeah, I saw that. It definitely makes me a little bit more interested in it. I was interested in it just because they cast Aaron Taylor Johnson as the lead as Cravens, and I was like, oh, so that'd be pretty interesting to see, his take on the character and everything. And then that was announced, I believe, at CinemaCon
Hmm.
last week or something like that. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I know you were talking about a lot of people wanted Venom to be
Yeah,
rated R, and it wasn't. So I think it'll be interesting. I mean, if they lean too heavily into it, like just making it like overly violent, overly like using like vulgar language, that type of stuff.
sure.
Obviously, it could get a little too heavy-handed, but I think if they treat it right, this character could definitely work in a, I guess, R-rated scenario.
Sure. I'm excited to see some like killing. Like I want some like very brutal kills.
Yeah, yeah.
I would almost like a like Mannheim type thing that we had recently. Did you see
Okay.
that movie?
I have not, no.
Okay. Okay, it was like so brutally violent. Like I was so shocked kind of going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Um but yeah, no, I'm this definitely raised my excitement. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
also Rhino being in this is
Okay.
quite
Yeah,
interesting. I wonder if Rhino's going to be the villain because that
that
would be
would be
quite
interesting. Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe like that's who he's hunting.
Ooh, sure.
So we
Yeah,
could get an interesting take on Rhino where it's like, an actual, instead of like the Rhino suit, it's maybe somebody who has actually been turned into like half man, half Rhino.
sure.
you know. Who
All
knows?
right. Up next here, very quick, just kind of. Did you watch the show, The Like Boys?
I
Are you a
am
fan?
I'm so far behind with watching it. I've seen
Okay.
so many clips. I mean, I'm in on all the Homelander memes and everything like that. I just haven't actually sat down, taken the time to watch it. I am
Okay, sure.
definitely guilty of not watching it just yet.
Interesting. Okay, okay. But no, I think The Boys is a show. I'm a massive fan. I think it's a really fun show. And then the spinoff show, which has been around, which I'll be honest is a show that I have been skeptical about because I think you're taking the you haven't seen the show obviously, but it's a
Hmm.
show like a very kind of dark and gritty show, and then you're putting it into like a high school college setting, which
Interesting.
which is an interesting take. So I'm very curious, but the show is coming out this fall, which was a shock to me because I think The Boys usually comes out during the summertime. It's usually
Okay.
like a summer show, which I usually like because there's not a lot of superhero shows on during the summer, and I think
Hmm.
it's very like a nice little contrast. But this year might be different, so I like that we're getting something in the fall, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's nice since we're not gonna have like all of our normal DC TV shows and stuff on, as far as we're aware at the moment. So.
Sure, sure. I like Super and Lois. Even like is usually like a January show.
Yeah, it's usually a
Maybe
mid-season
yeah,
premiere.
yeah. Like maybe we get like a Loki.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm not. Oops, did not mean to do that. Um, there we go. But no, I'm excited for the show. I hope it's good. And then lastly for our news topics for the week, this one got me really excited. So Spider Verse comes out next month on my birthday. I'm really excited. Um, so it's going to be 2 hours and 20 minutes, which would make it the longest ever animated movie made by a Hollywood studio. So this is pretty big news. And it's something that I'm very excited for because I think animation as a whole is very it's been looked down upon as just like things for kids, things that kids
Hmm.
can watch. It's put it on for the kids. Well, and so they usually are around the like hour 30, hour 40 mark. Um, so the fact we're getting at 2 hours 20 minutes, I think is really great because I think these movies aren't directed by kids. Like the first one gets really dark, it gets really personal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is marketed more towards just comic book fans that
Yeah.
families can also go to. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I think it definitely was very apparent with that first movie that it was made as an animated feature just because that's the best way to present the story.
Yeah,
Just because it like all of the effects, all of the action, everything that you need for this movie to actually work, I think it works the best in that animated format because it's basically just like a comic book come to life. So I think, 2 hours and 20 minutes of watching a comic book on screen, I'm here for it.
sure. No, I mean, I think animation is like the best place to tell these stories. Like,
Oh yeah.
I want more of this. Like, I want
Mhm.
more stuff like Spider Verse. I want James Gunn's whole thing to be not all
Yeah.
of it, right? But I
Yeah.
want like I would love a good half and half, like half like animated, some live action,
Mhm.
a good split between the two would be quite nice.
Yeah, yeah, and I've been like a big fan of like the DC animated movies and their whole universe and everything like
Yeah,
that. So if they maybe take something from this, like even just like the style or how the fact that like, it changes frame rates and stuff like that, I think that
sure,
would be very interesting.
sure. Is there a character that you would like?
Ooh, to get a full on like
Sure.
Spider-Verse treatment animated movie, I don't know. I mean, I think it would work really well for like a cool cosmic based like Superman movie. I think that could be very interesting. Maybe him just like
Ooh,
exploring like other planets. Maybe we could
sure.
finally get I know I mentioned it, I guess last week was Warworld. We could maybe get a full on like Justice League Warworld type of
Mm-hmm.
like animated movie. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. I think Plastic Man, and I
Ooh,
guess that's a weird choice, but like I think
that would
Plastic
be.
Man would fit very well in that world.
Mhm.
Get the actor that plays Sonic the Hedgehog. He's been in like he's in like Ninja Turtles and like DuckTales and stuff. So like he obviously looks like Plastic Man, but he can also do like great voiceover stuff. And
Okay.
then I just think Plastic Man's powers would look really cool in like a very
Yeah, that
like
would.
artistically driven movie for sure. And then you can have like fun with it because I think he's a very goofy character.
Oh yeah, I think that would be very interesting, especially like you could do a lot of cool things with those powers in an animated form that you
Sure.
definitely couldn't do or at least wouldn't look as good in live action.
Yeah.
And I know they kind
100%.
of tried they kind of tried to do their best with elongated man, I know on the Flash obviously. It looked cool sometimes, but other times it looked a little wonky, I guess.
Sure. I think it looked as good as it needed to
Yeah,
most of the
yeah.
time. But yeah, that's all I have for that stuff.
Cool.
Oh my goodness.
We were big and now
So
we're smaller.
I know. So Superman and Lois, newest episode. We talked a little bit about it on Twitter just a couple minutes ago. So season 3, episode 7. Of course, I can't believe we're 7 episodes in. Like it's
Yeah, I know.
absolutely bonkers. It makes me
Yeah,
kind of
we're
sad.
getting close to the end already somehow.
I know. I really want to learn if it's getting another season now, if I can mentally
Yeah.
prepare. Because Stargirl, we learned like 5
Y-
episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, there was like a little bit of time to kind of process it. I hope they would let us know. I mean, I know, I feel like if they're going to let us know, maybe it's going to be whenever the episode that Lex shows up in. Because, I feel like he's being set up as our threat for next season.
Hmm.
So introduce him and, announce that there's another season coming. I think that would be the best way to line it up.
Sure.
But I'm not sure when they are going to announce that. I don't know when they can announce whether or not we're continuing.
This is a good point. It's been very nice not having 50 hiatuses.
Oh yeah.
Like, I wonder if that's a reason I'm enjoying this season more than last. I mean, I think there's a bunch of reasons, but those were getting to me last season. Like, if there was a
Yeah.
point where I kind of wanted to quit and wait for it to like all come out. But no, I've been really enjoying those. But no, Super Lois season 3, episode 7. So I've been listening to a lot of feedback about the show.
Yeah.
I've loved every episode. Like, I think it's been an amazing season. But the one thing I've heard from a lot of people is that they're kind of tired. Like they are exhausted. They are physically exhausted watching this season, and I think that's very understandable.
Yeah, that's a
I
fair criticism for
Sure.
sure.
I think, and I don't think the season will be for everyone. Like I, especially an episode like this that's very driven on the drama, on the personal stories, and not an episode where I was trying to think back. I think this is the only episode we've never had Superman at all.
Yeah, as far as I can remember, I believe he's suited up in at least one scene. So yeah, it's weird. I didn't like you said until you tweeted that out. I didn't even notice it. Like I was already starting to watch Gotham Knights at that point, and I didn't even think about it. So
Stranger, I did see this. So
yeah.
yeah, I did see something about he was like preparing for season 4, which I'm in this weird spot where I'm not trying to get my hopes up for it, but I also it's like, ooh, I'm kind of hopeful for it as well. I hope this is true.
I
And of
do as well.
course, like even this episode, they again once teased moving a city maybe or like doing a lot in another city here. But no, like what did you think about episode 7 of like Superman and Lois?
I think it was a very interesting, like, bringing things together type episode. It was, culminating a lot of the little breadcrumbs and a lot of seeds that have been planted throughout the season, kind of fully went into the reveal cliffhanger from the end of the last episode. And then we got another cliffhanger kind of confirming some people's theories from earlier in the season and
Mm,
throwing out some other theories. So I think it was a very big, like, just like theory confirmation episode so that we can go, full steam ahead into the last handful of episodes here.
sure, sure. A big. It is very interesting because like I felt like I was super hyper aware of all the like people wanting more superhero stuff, people wanting less like sadness, and I felt
Mm-hmm.
like this episode doubled down on all of it. So I felt like I was more hyper aware of it, and I was like, oh, okay, there's going to be some people who are still going to be very frustrated.
Yeah.
Um, but again, that's not a thing that I am personally being affected by. Like I think the story that they're telling is just so good that
Yeah.
it feels like I think it's this episode, like this show as a whole, is something that the show has done. But I think this season especially focuses on just like the human part of a superhero show so well. I
Mm-hmm.
think it focuses on stuff that I feel like the Arrowverse type shows haven't done since like Flash season 2, like where they really just focus on both the superhero side and the human side and what makes these characters these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that I think is like the benefit of like a 13 episode, a 22 episode like superhero show that we often don't get to see in like your Iron Man or like your Captain America's because you have 2 hours and you have to hurry up and do these things. This is a story that would never work in a 2 hour movie. It just wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I think it also just goes to show that this shorter season format, the like 10 to 15 episode range, is a lot better for superhero television than,
Yeah.
say, stretching it out to 22, 23 episodes. And I think that formatting just works so well because there's no fluff. You're, going, episode to episode, carrying on the main story. You're getting something new every single week, and every episode feels important. It feels like a very important piece of the puzzle. And I'm really enjoying that as well.
Yeah. Um this Flash and Superman Lois has always kind of gave me like whiplash. Like even when I did enjoy the Flash, there was always that bit of like, well, I wish this thing was more like that thing. Like I wish you could do this a little bit more. Um, but yeah, no, I think Superman Lois does a pretty good job at doing like one story for 15 episodes,
Oh
13
yeah.
episodes. I think I had an issue last season, I think. Like I wasn't the biggest fan of season 2 and that story.
Mm-hmm.
But even season 2, like they kind of had two separate things going on. Like
Yeah, I they
go ahead.
almost tried their hand at like a graphic novel format last season, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like.
I think it was a lot more how like agents like I think that I really wish they would have took a book from like Agents of Shield because I think they nailed that whole concept
Mm-hmm.
of like you have a story in the back half, you have a story in the second half, and then you kind of combine the two arcs in like such a seamless way.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I don't
Or
know
like
if you watched
classic
the
Arrow
show.
too.
Oh yeah, sure, sure, sure. You had like Bruno Man, or you had Tobias Church, and then you
Mm-hmm.
had like Prometheus. Yeah, for sure. I like how mature the Lana. You know what? Let's just kind of jump into that. I know starting with the Lana stuff probably is not where we should have started, but I was shocked with the Lana stuff this week. The Lana storyline it gets me this season because one episode I'm like really like Lana, I really like what they're doing with her, and then the next I'm like this is dumb CW stuff, and then like we have this episode where it's like I respect this. Like it's such a
Yeah,
well told story with her. And it's such a real story too. Like she was mad last week, but she also had a reason to be mad. And it's not like she's mad at the like situation because it's a very real thing. She just it's a human emotion, I guess is what I'm
right.
trying to say. Like it feels very real.
Yeah, I definitely feel like her storyline has been very grounded again this season, kind of giving us a break from the very heavy stuff, obviously, that we're doing with Clark and Lois and everything. But then kind of, bringing it back down a level as far as, I guess, severity goes, but still showing like a story that is, maybe a little bit more relatable. Something that, again, to kind of like take your mind off of the, big heavy story.
Sure. No, I think I think her thing at the end of this episode made me just really like it, where it's like I know I shouldn't be mad about this thing. Like, this isn't a thing I should be doing, but I am. Like, this is a fault that I personally have, and I have to hide that, and I have to like deal with that. And I think that's just so real. Like, this is something. Like those are thoughts that go through my mind every day. Where like, this is dumb. I should not be thinking like this, but I do,
Yeah.
and I have to deal with that somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thought it was amazing. I did think I wouldn't say it was filler. I didn't think some of it was filler. But I did think some of the Christy and Sarah stuff this week did feel a little bit out of place.
It was a little weird too because their whole story was tied to Kyle and he was absent the entire episode.
Sure,
Obviously the actors probably got to have a day off, have a week off or
sure.
whatever, but realistically that's the reason, but it felt a little odd. He was off screen the entire time. It's like, "Oh, he's stuck at the firehouse or whatever." So, but
Yeah, no. I okay, maybe I'm crazy. So episode 1 of the season, they did establish she was their teacher, right? Am I crazy in like thinking that
who was their teacher?
Chrissy?
I, I think they established that they went to like the same school but at different times or something like that. I feel like that's what I remember,
Is that
but
what it is? Because I remember being like, "Oh, she's their teacher." I remember thinking that was super weird, and they haven't addressed it since. So
hmm.
maybe I started to wonder, was I going crazy for
I'm not
thinking that was
sure.
a thing?
Somebody's gonna have to fact
Sure.
check that.
Maybe I just misheard them in the first episode. Um, but yeah, let's kind of dive into like the main story here, and that was Lois and Pia.
hmm.
Which again, I think that's the dumbest name that they could have named this character. I don't know if she was like a comic book character before, but I thought that
I
was
I mean, nobody's ever gonna guess that the character named Pia is secretly onomatopoeia. Like, they'll never guess it, guys. It'll be the biggest twist since John Henry Irons in season 1.
but no, I mean, this episode mainly focused on these two characters bonding and Lois literally killing this character with kindness. Like
Hmm.
she's trying to like sneak this like interview with this lady who, she knows nothing about her involvement with Bruno, but she's just
Hmm.
kind of trying to get this like information and this kind of back and forth with Pia being like, I want to be your friend, but I can't. But also, like, I think there's a bit of like, I don't want you to get hurt as well because she knows what Bruno is capable of. What did you think of this entire arc?
I thought it was a very interesting back and forth. Like, the fact that also Lois was like, "Oh, I feel like my instincts are off," but they weren't. Like, she was, dead on from the beginning. Like, there was
Sure,
she was important from the beginning, and I really liked kind of the back and forth between them. It felt very much so like something that Lois would do. She just, wants to befriend somebody. She's trying to, get to the bottom of a story, but at the end of the day, she's obviously a good person that just wants to make a friend in a difficult
sure.
scenario. but also having that, I guess, counter with Pia in there, trying to, I guess, kind of cover things up as far as what's really going on. I thought it was very interesting, and I definitely liked the way that it all kind of unfolded throughout the episode, kind of splicing in the flashbacks and everything like that, giving us a little bit more info on her background and Bruno's background and kind of how it all plays into each other.
That's yeah, no, I think you put that way better than I ever could. But no, I think there's something kind of wholesome to me. Like it gave me like first grade like flashbacks of me being like, "Will you be my friend?" Will you like it really did feel like such a wholesome scene where Lois is like, "Yeah, I don't have many friends anymore." Like I think it's so funny kind of looking at it that way because it like when it comes to a show, you kind of just assume these characters have friends like off screen. But
Right.
like, yeah, it makes sense. Like she moved to a town where she really doesn't know anybody. Her only friend would probably be Lana, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a little awkward when your best friend is your boyfriend or like your husband's ex. Um, but yeah, no, I thought that the scene was really cute, and I wonder if we'll where can we take that story now that it's all out in the open that she's
Right.
married or she is married to Bruno.
Mm-hmm.
Which speaking to Bruno, we got a big portion of this episode was flashbacks to Bruno, which I think it was kind of the perfect spot for it here.
Yeah, yeah, I did too. I think it was about time that we saw more of Bruno as well, because I feel like we've gotten him very sparingly, I guess, throughout the whole season. We get like one
Mm,
or two really big scenes an episode. Chad L. Coleman absolutely kills it in every scene that he's in. I think he's a very, imposing threat and everything like that, but they kind of took a step back from that and showed a bit of like the softer side, I guess you could say, and kind of where he's coming from, why he's doing what he's doing, trying to not get only get the audience to, I guess, be on his side, but also kind of make Lois and Clark sort of second guess what they're doing by the end of the episode. Lois is like, well, should we really even be investigating him at this point? Like
sure.
he's trying to do the right thing, even if he's not going about it in the best possible way.
Yeah, no, I think we're getting to a point where it's even me where I'm having to think like, wait, what did he do wrong again? Like I'm trying to justify this man's
Oh, he's
um
just leading a criminal organization known as
sure.
Intergang, but that's all in the past.
Sure. No, I mean I think it's super I think it's kind of fun like fighting a villain who's trying to fight cancer. Like
Mm-hmm.
it almost makes you feel like the villains for trying to stop them and I think that's such a an interesting angle, especially when you have a character who is fighting cancer, and that's
Right.
kind of like cancer is like the big bad this season, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to fight the guy who's trying to like help her in like a
Yeah.
weird
Yeah.
way. So, um, but no, I think I loved Clark's interview with Bruno.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
I
was
love that
just about to mention that.
it's so I just love Clark doing that. Like we've seen very few stuff of him being able to tap into that side of the like story because that's normally where Lois is from, and I get it. I think having both is hard, but I really did enjoy that scene.
Yeah, so did I. It was great to see Clark actually go out and kind of use that reporting side of him as well, because I guess a lot of times people forget. Clark also did used to work
Sure.
at the Daily Planet as well. I thought that the interview with Mannheim was great as well. He kind of goes in. Definitely his demeanor changes throughout. Like he goes in very much so like he's putting on that Clark persona,
Sure.
but the further and further you get into that interview, you get to see a little bit more of Superman come out, maybe sort of the Clark that you saw in that diner scene come out a little bit as well.
Yeah.
And then you get the kind of the big, I guess, revelation that obviously Bruno has a stake in all of this as well, is he wouldn't be going as far as he's going if he didn't have some sort of like personal connection. And I thought it was a great line as well with him
Sure.
saying, to Clark, like, you know, is there anything you wouldn't do to save your wife? So
Sure.
I think that that was kind of like the big, powerful moment, I guess you could say, of that scene.
Sure. Sure. No, and I like kind of going back to like the flashback scenes. I thought it was very interesting because like in the begin, like it really doesn't feel like he's a villain in those opening flashback scenes. Like it feels like he's really just trying to save his city. Like it feels like and then I would assume that over the course of the last 20 years or so, right? Because Lex is
Mm-hmm.
still like Lex is out of prison, he's doing stuff.
Right.
So that was I thought that was actually a really good way to like segment Lex there. I thought it was a very
Mm-hmm.
good way to
Yeah,
set
it was
him
a
up.
nice little like setting him up there. Yeah.
Sure. But no, I would assume over the last 20 years he's like slowly evolved into this like desperateness of saving his wife and literally doing anything. Um and I'm very I have a feeling she might die this season. Like I think she might die,
Yeah.
and then he's
Yeah.
going to go insane. Like I think that's going like he's gonna be like, you know what, screw it. I've been trying to help the city, it hasn't worked. Now I'm just going to take it all out. I think that's probably where we're going at some point.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you because again, Lois is gonna make it, obviously. And to kind of show the other side of that, I think having Pia not come out on the other side of it, would be a good contrast there. And also another, big push for Bruno to maybe do something, I guess, very rash at the end of the season. That would
Mm,
most likely set up whatever the big, physical fight is gonna be.
sure. Um, yeah, no, I'm very curious to see what he ultimately does. Like, what's his push going to be? Is it Bizarro? Is it
Right.
like does he do something rash and like put something in him or something that makes him doomsday or something? I don't know.
Right.
Does
Yeah. Does
he?
he give himself powers? That would be interesting.
Mm, that's true.
And then he ends up being whatever the big thing is at the end of the season.
Sure. Sure. Does he go after maybe Lex? Like he's like, you know, I'm gonna take out this guy that I couldn't before. I don't know. Um, yeah, and
I
again, how is Lex gonna come into this? Because I think this episode establishes that connection that they've had. Like,
right,
did he
right.
have they met? Did they officially meet? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it also kind of again solidifies that he might not really have anything to do with what is going on with Bruno, other than the fact that he's just in the background and he'll just, come out at the end and say, "Hi, I'm Lex Luthor. I'm here now."
Sure.
But I did think it was also very interesting that they revealed that Pia had her powers all the
Yeah.
way in the flashback. So it's not. So she's a meta, and
Yeah.
that kind of maybe goes against what General Lane was saying last
Sure.
season, that there's nobody else with powers. So how did she have powers all the way back then? Where did she get them? What particle accelerator exploded on this
Sure.
Earth? I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, no, I thought that was I was very shocked because I just kind of assumed that he gave her powers. Like that was just kind
Right.
of like it made sense. I wonder if we're even going to dive into that or they'll just be like she has powers. It's whatever. And you know,
Because
it seems
comics.
sure. It seems like people have had powers here before. Like she isn't the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I would like do only villains have powers? Do like maybe just no other heroes like rised up and that's why there's no
Mm-hmm.
other heroes. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, I
Lane
think
just
it would
didn't know
be
any. Like
be interesting, or possibly the fact that she does have powers is maybe an element that Bruno's using to give these other people
mm,
powers.
sure.
That could be an interesting, I guess, interesting take on that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, sure. It was a very fun scene though.
Oh yeah, I
It gave
love
me
that.
very Arrow, Black Canary vibes.
Yeah, and then I'm also thinking like, if this character was on Arrow, and they did them like this, that would be
Yeah.
very interesting.
Could give like Black Canary like an arc or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
a
And then you
villain
get
to
like
just
a
fight. Yeah.
that'd be very cool.
Sure.
What could have
Yeah,
been?
no. It does make you kind of want like season 4 or something. Like a season
Mm-hmm.
that was very supernaturally to have done
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It would have been very interesting if they did more. I guess like metahuman villains,
Oh
but
yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta keep things grounded sometimes.
But moving on here, we also had the Jonathan and Jordan story. Now I didn't know how I thought about this storyline at first because at first it kind of felt very uncharacteristic of Jonathan, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
like this felt like a storyline that they would probably typically give like Jordan kind of like rashing out and doing all these things. But I do think he's just finally hit a breaking point. I think
Yeah.
he's like I think this is like I think the more I thought about it, like his arc this whole season has just simply been I am not respected enough. Like I don't have a role in this family. And I think he like him thinking he found a cure for Lois and not being able to do anything about it and them kind of keeping them out of this whole like conversation about Lois. I think that was his breaking point here.
Right. Yeah, and I think the whole explanation as well around like why they can't do anything is a why they can't do anything with like the Kryptonian technology and everything. I think that that was a good way of kind of I guess silencing a lot of those theories because that's been thrown around ever since the beginning is like, oh, why don't
Sure.
you just go to the fortress, get
Yeah.
some Kryptonian tech and use it and cure Lois. And I think it also kind of covers the base as well that there's not going to be some sort of like magical cure all fix at the end of things. Like they're again going to, see this story out to the end and they're going to, bring it to a very realistic and respectful conclusion, I feel like, as well. So it's not going to be, Lois is fine because space technology.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, no, sure. I think it did really feel like a shout out to like us, where like I think it did feel like this idea where like we can't just give everyone this cure. If we give it to Lois,
right.
what about Pia? What about every single human? Like we can't just give it to everyone. Um, or I guess they could, but then like what's the consequences of that?
Right.
Is like
Then that could fall into the wrong hands, possibly.
sure, is like Clark's identity more important than like curing cancer or something? I think would honestly be an interesting thought.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
very interesting moral dilemma, I guess,
yeah,
as well as like, put yourself in that scenario is like, if you had that tech, would you risk, exposing all of that to save one person
sure.
that could potentially endanger the entire world? I guess is
Hmm.
what is, I guess is what Clark's thought process on that is.
Sure. And I guess also a good parallel for Bruno. Like Clark isn't willing to go that far, but Bruno
Right.
is. Like, what if
Yeah.
Bruno gets his hands on this technology? Maybe that's why he needs Bizarro, because he needs to get
Yeah.
into the fortress.
That
I
would
don't
be
know.
very interesting.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no,
I like that. I
I'm
like that theory.
it would kind of make sense. But no, I think he's a character. I'm very curious how they're just going to fit in. Like
Yeah.
we haven't seen from him in a couple weeks. I'm curious how they're going to fold him into everything
Yeah, I mean, is Bruno going to actually revive him or is he just basically using him
using.
as
Yeah,
Superman DNA source or
sure,
something?
sure. Yeah, I hope we get to see him for at least a little bit because I do miss that character. I thought he was a really fun character last season.
Yeah.
So I hope at least that like even if it's just like a couple words or like a something, we get to see him say hi to Clark or something.
Oh, yeah. Because he
Um,
also
yeah.
wasn't really a villain at the end
Mm,
either. So
no,
that was also pretty interesting. So could be a good interaction.
yeah, no, for sure. And then a side plot here was John Henry Irons and Natalie and
Yes.
Mateo, which this felt like a very like typical CW storyline.
Mhm.
But I enjoyed it. I thought it was very fun. Um I think John Henry having to deal with his daughter dating for the first time is just fun. I thought that was a really fun storyline. What did you think of it all?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was just like a fun little side plot that in the end tied back into, everything and kind of overcomplicates what seemed like the most simple and, I
Sure.
guess, non-threatening storyline of the entire season.
Yeah, no, and I I was this was kind of interesting because I don't know. So we had heard a different reveal, right? Like we heard something different.
I don't okay, so I don't think it was a reveal. I think it was more so a theory
Was
going
it a theory?
around. Yeah, or maybe it was somebody saying it before the season started,
Yeah.
and then everybody took it as like a leak or something, but I think it was more so just a theory that he was supposed to be uh Dr. Iron's son, right?
Yeah.
So, maybe that was something to kind of throw people off as well. Maybe that's how he was cast. Maybe he was cast
Mm,
as, Mateo Irons or something like that, just to kind of throw
sure.
people off from the big reveal. Kind of similar to that leak that was going around for the onomatopoeia reveal that didn't come true either.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, no, I mean, it was kind of an interesting thing because I think naturally my theory, like, I would have guessed this. Like
yeah.
I think that's what the obvious thing was. But then, like, I was like, well, it can't be that because, like we know it's this, you know.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think the further the season went on and the closer Natalie and him got together, the more I disliked our theory about
Oh, yeah. I was like, there. I mean, well, here's the thing. So, showrunner is Todd Helbing, who used to be the showrunner of The Flash, who made Barry and Iris basically brother and sister. So I wouldn't put it past the show to potentially make, Mateo Natalie's like alternate Earth cousin. But I'm really glad that they didn't do that. I'm really glad that they didn't do that. It would have been very awkward.
I agree with this. I would
Yeah,
say I
I
didn't.
do too.
Yeah, no, I think I'm curious where it's all gonna go. Like where do we take it from here? Does he try and get closer to, like, does he get roped into his plans, or
I
is
don't
it
know.
like a No Way Home type of thing? Like I could see that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like obviously he has no idea what's going on. At least is what it appears from the end of that episode. Like he's just like, "Oh, I'm just a kid. My dad's Bruno Mannheim and that's about it."
Yeah,
Like he doesn't seem to know anything, but the fact that it looks like, next week we're going to be exploring that a little bit more. It seems like Natalie's going to find out who Mateo's parents are in this next
mm,
episode, which is
yeah,
going to kind of tie all of this in together. And, I think it's going to definitely complicate things quite a bit.
sure. No, I'm very glad that he's not some like evil mastermind. Um,
Yeah.
like you could have so easily been like, she has no idea what's in for her or something, as he comes home.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I guess there was also the theory going around that Mateo was kind of a plant the entire season, that he was
yeah,
just there to like keep tabs on everybody, which I guess could technically still happen, like maybe him without knowing it.
sure.
So, I'd
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see if that happens.
So this is interesting. We talked about the writer's strike early on. Is season 4 confirmed, or will the writer's strike nail it? And I I could see going either way. Um, I could see it hurting the show. I could also see it helping the show. Like if they need already established shows,
Yeah,
like it might be harder for them to. I mean, I guess they're not making any new content anyway, so I guess that probably wouldn't be a. I guess they would just acquire new shows or like old shows, I guess, right?
right. I mean, I think the only way it would affect the show, I guess, negatively is I know back when the original like big writer strike happened, what was it, like mid 2000s or whatever,
It was like 2007, yeah.
2007ish, yeah, is very random deep cut. But Prison Break, I believe it was season 3, got a short like 13 episode season because of that writer's strike.
Hmm.
So there's a possibility that any show that gets renewed during this time might have a shortened season for their next season if they get renewed. But I think you're right as well with the fact that it's already established. So maybe it technically helps it in a way, just
Sure,
because, there's already, cast, crew, writing staff, everything's already, established for this
sure.
show. And they just have to, come to some sort of an agreement.
Yeah, sure. Honestly, I think for normal networks, this would be like a go, right? I think that they would want their already established shows ready to go.
Right.
But I think the CW, where a year where they will only be having 3 shows, and most of their other shows are just like quick content
Yeah.
or like acquired shows from like Canada or whatever. They could just be like, you know what, we don't need them. Like
Yeah.
our TV schedule is going to be all this other stuff, and
I mean,
All Americans
yeah.
it or something.
I mean, I guess that is a possibility as well. CW might just be like, "Oh, writers strike. Well, we'll just do shows that don't require writers. We'll
Writing,
just
yeah.
do all this unscripted content." So you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. I'm hoping that you know the best case scenario will happen for both Superman and Lois and Gotham Knights, and that is obviously that they get renewed and
Yeah.
stay where they are.
Yeah, that'd
But
be great. And again, I think we'll be finding out real soon. Like, I think we have to.
oh yeah,
Well, I
I'd say
mean,
I'd say before the end of the month, hopefully.
oh yeah, I think originally at least. Like, I don't know if the writer's
Yeah,
strike will affect the
that's true.
announcements or whatever, but
That's true. Oh, that would be. I just thought of a really bad scenario that the writer's strike continues until all the shows are over and there's not a good resolution and the shows end without us knowing them being the end and that's it. I hope not.
mhm.
But yeah. That's just
I will say I think this would be a very unfortunate final season though. Like, I think as
yeah.
much as I like the season, like I'm loving the season, I think ending it on such a kind of like a downer season would kind of suck. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I
I think you
agree.
at least need one final season, wrap everything up, make Jordan Superboy, very fun villain. If that's Lex, if that's whatever, I think you at least need a final season.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. I agree. It's a very good season, but it's a
yeah,
very like difficult note to leave on if it is the final season.
sure. Like, I saw a tweet today that said if like the Flash ended after season 3, it'd be a perfect show. I would hate it to end after season 3. That'd be such a terrible final season.
Yeah, because it would have ended on like the darkest possible season of the entire show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I would hate that. Maybe season 2, maybe.
I mean, it kind of
Maybe.
had like a slightly hopeful ending because it set up Flashpoint. So,
Sure.
I mean, that'd actually be a very interesting way to just end it. It's like, all right, Flashpoint,
Sure.
and nothing
I
else ever happens.
You know what? Honestly, I think you could do season 1. Like, I think you could have had season 1, like wrap it up in a like, like I'm the Flash now. It just runs off, and it could be like a perfect like limited series,
Oh
like a
yeah.
one-off thing.
I mean, you could have definitely condensed season 1 into just being a movie.
Mm, sure. And I think that's what like the first draft was. Like, the
Right,
first draft
right.
was literally just season 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard a bit about that. It would have been interesting, but like also kind of
Sure.
like, oh, we've already seen that.
Yeah, I think that did affect things because I think the Flash show did too good of a job at first. Like, it
Yeah.
was too good, and then they had to follow it up with a movie, and I think that was hard.
Yeah, it's like, all right, what are we gonna do for the Flash movie? Oh, the Flash TV show already did that. All right, let's introduce Zoom. No, the Flash TV show already did that. Savitar? No, TV show already did that. Deep cut villain, the Thinker? No, season 4.
Sure.
Okay.
I still would have liked Captain Cold. I think. Like,
Yeah.
I think he was used like just enough in the Flash TV show where they could have like got away with it.
Mm-hmm. And
Or
especially
like,
because he was more or less an anti-hero by the end of season 1
yeah,
anyway, and then he moved off to Legend, so they could have just done
sure,
full-on like villain Captain Cold if they wanted.
yeah. I wouldn't have wanted it for movie 1, but like sequel, like Grodd would have been really cool as well
Mm.
because like they couldn't truly do Grodd, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the CGI for Grodd looked pretty good
Oh
when we
yeah,
had him earlier this season, but like movie budget Grodd, like
oh yeah, it looked
Planet of
cool.
the Apes
Yeah,
style Gorilla Grodd would be crazy.
I think like I would love them to tackle the like these like villain of the week type villains like Wizard or like Mirror Master
Mm.
or stuff like
Or
that.
just do like a full rogues.
Rose would be cool, sure.
Yeah.
Judging by the end of the episode, my theory Lex will become an antagonist that's working. I I don't think so. Like, I think I can see them working together. I don't think we're going that way.
No, no. I think for the most part, if they interact, it's going to be fighting each other.
Sure. Um But yeah, that's basically all I have for Summer Lois. I will say, I thought the final scene this week, I think the whole final ending was beautiful. I thought it was gorgeous. It's kind of just like embodied what I love about the show. I think Clark's talk with Jonathan and the
Yeah.
whole fireworks scene and all of that was gorgeous. I thought it
Oh
was
yeah.
amazing.
Perfect end scene.
Yeah, no, I think I love scenes like this. Like I love the painting scene from season one. I like
Mm-hmm.
the like Cushing's like watering down the house in season one. I love scenes like that. I think they're the birthday party from the first episode of the season. I love scenes like
Yeah.
that.
I think once again, just kind of very, very much so grounding the show in reality.
So kind of on the quicker side because we are aiming for a not as long stream today. But Gotham Knights. Now you're kind of my Gotham Knights guy. Um, what are your thoughts on this episode? Episode 7. Again, I can't believe we're on episode 7.
I think it definitely started off a little bit slow, but as the episode progressed, it got more and more interesting as we kind of dove a little bit deeper into what the court was truly planning. We get another, I guess, big confrontation with the court by the end of the episode. And then it leaves us on a very interesting, I guess you could call it just like a stinger, cliffhanger, whatever you want to refer to it as. And I feel like they might have given us enough pieces in this episode to kind of start putting that puzzle together.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think this episode was innocent enough. Like there was nothing I hated this week.
Yeah.
Um there's nothing like I don't think there's a lot I loved either. Like I think it was very like, yep, we got here. This was fun. All right. I think I'm realizing that this show is a show that I enjoy, but I also kind of have a hard time talking about it as well. Like I don't leave any episode where I'm like, well, I can't wait to talk about Gotham Knights tonight. And like I look at my notes, I wrote down 2 notes just because I kind of just phased off while watching these.
Mm-hmm.
Um Again, nothing bad. I what did you what did you think of the Harvey stuff this week? Because I thought
Uh,
that girl is so thirsty for this man. I thought she cracked me up all episode.
Harvey was just trying to do his job, man. Like he was just trying to get to the bottom of this, attack on on this guy that was his buddy. And he's just fearing for everybody's life. There's a Talon on the loose trying to, slice people up while Rebecca March is over here thinking about not the investigation. We'll put it at that.
Oh man, no. I when she first called him about the phone calls, I thought it was fake. Like I thought that was gonna be like, can you come over and help me with this thing? I thought, oh man, I thought no, but I thought it was I think this actor, I think Harvey's actor, is so good. Like I think he very much is like carrying the show for me. Um in
I mean,
this
he's
storyline.
like just great facial expressions. Just like the fact that he's just like he almost like always looks confused in a way. He's like very stoic face, like.
Sure.
But it was an interesting, I guess, interesting enough side story for him. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more on the
Sure.
Two-Face side of things. Like it just kind of was non-existent this week, which was odd.
Yeah, she like kind of like this is the part of the night where your second personality or whatever pops in or whatever. Like I was like, oh, that was very like on the nose.
But wouldn't it technically have been his actual personality?
Sure.
Because usually it's the Two-Face personality that she is with, right? And
Yeah.
then when Harvey comes back, he's like, oh, "Wait, what's going on here?"
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting, I guess, is like referring to it as that.
I will say I thought it was kind of interesting that like Cobblepot was a mayor.
Yeah, I like that reference. We got a couple of good references in there. I think we got
Magpie or yeah.
yeah, Magpie,
Magpie, that's it, yeah.
Catwoman shout out as well, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I do really like the subtle world building that they're doing, just kind of making it definitely
Sure.
feel like a very lived in Gotham.
Sure. Yeah, I mean it should like this should be a Gotham, and I guess that's their way of kind of moving around all these characters not being here, right? Is
Right.
like they're all either dead or they're in like Arkham, or they're kind of like they've all kind of done their due, I guess, outside of like Two-Face and like the court.
Mm-hmm.
They've all kind of lived. I would be curious how much they take from like the Gotham like TV show, where it's like, oh well, now all these villains are just popping up for the first time or whatever.
Right.
Which Gotham was good for. But no, I love Eunice is probably my favorite character in the show. I love this old lady so much. She is so much fun. And I think there's so many like one-liners this week. It
Yeah.
cracked me up.
Yeah, no, this episode was definitely very funny. I found myself
Oh
laughing.
yeah.
I found myself laughing quite a bit. I'm like, is it supposed to be like a comedy episode? But like, I don't know. This is just kind of some funny stuff going on.
There was a line, I don't remember what it was. I wish I wrote it down, that that Colin said. It was like a one-word line, and I just started dying laughing. I can't remember what it was, but
When do you remember when in the episode it was?
they were stealing the painting, and he said something, and I just started laughing. I can't. It's fine. It's whatever.
Oh, what? Oh, wait. Was it about Alan Wayne's taste in art, basically,
No,
with the sheep and
he
stuff?
said, yeah, he said something, but then I don't know. There's like a line that I don't know. It's fine. It's whatever. I'll have to look back into it.
We'll think about it at some point.
Yeah. Are they setting up? They are setting up every character. Every episode, there's at least two characters who are about to kiss, and then they pull away. It's ridiculous.
Like we said last week, it's the
Yeah.
the theory board of relationships. It's just, we can just like put all the string and just like tie everybody together. But yeah, no, I definitely think they are setting that up. If you saw that big extended trailer from I think earlier in the week, there was something else with that as well.
Sure.
So definitely planting seeds there for sure.
I would be okay with it, I guess. This like enemies to a lovers type thing, I guess.
Very cliche, but
sure.
But I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I doubt. I think the crazy thing is I don't think any of these relationships are actually going to happen. Like I think it will be gone before they get the chance. Wait, what trailer? I think they released it like 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah, hold on. Let me find what it's called. If you go to the CW, go to the CW YouTube channel. If you go to their most recent videos, it is from 4 days ago. It is called Awful Gotham Knights Season 1 trailer, the CW.
It's called what?
It's called Awful.
That's terrible marketing. What are they thinking? That's terrible.
It's a 1-minute trailer with some footage from past episodes and the next couple of episodes as well, it looks like.
Interesting. Now, speaking of trailers, we're going to wrap this episode up as we kind of watch the promos for this week. Let's start with Gotham Knights. I thought this trailer looked really good. Like the promo for next week looks so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think stuff's gonna really go down next week. Like it's the court party that they're infiltrating, basically.
Yeah.
The court's having a little soiree tonight.
How do I look?
We're talking about going into the belly of the beast.
There is a traitor in our midst.
No spoilers.
It just kind of looks like a murder mystery movie trailer that you see on like TV.
Gotham Knights Clue Edition.
Yeah, and it feels like we're really like getting into this Court of Owls story. Like I think after this week, and us like kind of interacting with them, like fully. Like it feels like now we're really like into it.
Yeah, and again, this is just. The deeper we get into the show, it's reminding me more and more of the Gotham Knights game. And I think it's so funny how when the game was coming out, they were saying that they had no affiliation with the TV show whatsoever. And the TV show kept saying, we have no affiliation with the game whatsoever. But they're both telling very, very, very similar stories. And if my theory is correct about what's going on, what the court is actually after, then they're going to be super, super similar.
Interesting.
So
Seeing Duella all like dressed up looks kind of weird.
yeah,
Oh man, it seems like a lot of superhero stuff that this week too.
yeah,
And I will say, I appreciated them kind of wearing masks this week.
yeah. I thought that was a good touch. We were like, they need to wear
Sure.
masks, and they're like, all right. Turner had his weird little top hat thing, and everybody had their little like go into a secret area, Assassin's Creed, like pull up your mask type of thing.
Is she about to knock him out here? Probably not, but it just kind of looks like the way she's turning around the corner heading towards him looks like she's about to knock him out. Is that a pillow? No, it's not. Okay, I'm seeing things. Right here, it looks like she's holding a pillow, but it's just the background of the wall.
It's like, hey, don't spoil anything.
Oh.
They don't call me spoiler for nothing.
The top hat's so silly. Why?
It's weird. Like, I mean, maybe we're gonna get like a one-off line. He's like, "Oh, I'm wearing it because it was Bruce's top hat. He wore it all the time, so now I'm wearing it."
Oh, she's putting on a mask.
Yeah, so I think they're gonna be infiltrating the party. It looks like
Interesting,
I
yeah.
guess Turner and Duella maybe are gonna go in undercover to the party.
Yeah, that's her
Everybody
here.
else
Yeah,
is
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be on the outside. Yeah, so it looks like they're both getting dressed up for the
Sure.
party, and they're wearing masks, and nobody's gonna know it's them.
Interesting. I'm excited. I am.
I am too. Would you like to hear my theory?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so final scene of the episode was the reveal with the paintings. There's something behind the
A map,
painting.
yes.
Right, it's a map. I believe it's a map of Gotham City. The whole interrogation was trying to get to the bottom of how is Talon living for so long. They get to the answer is magic juice, basically, right? So what from DC Comics lore do we know as magic juice that keeps you alive that somebody could be searching for?
The pit, right?
I'm thinking that they probably had some Lazarus Pit water, and this map might be a map to a secret Lazarus Pit somewhere under Gotham City. That's where they're looking for it, and maybe it'll bring up some like moral dilemmas too, of like, oh, do we bring Bruce back if we can find the pit? That type of thing.
That's a good point. The pit crossed my mind. But I was like, oh, it's juice. It can't be that. But I guess they could have like bottled it or whatever, right?
Right. I think it and maybe they somehow got it from the League of Assassins. They have this Lazarus Pit water. They use it to make the Talon, and obviously they want more. But how has it taken them like 100 years to find where this pit is?
These paintings, sure.
Yeah, they've just had to collect all of the old artwork to get the map.
Maybe they were waiting for Bruce to die? Probably not, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, maybe they're just like secretly collecting it all this time. Who knows?
That's fair. Yeah, no, it looks like a fun episode.
Yeah.
What we have 7 left, both shows.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how we're going to wrap it up. I wonder... We talked about it last week, but I'm just trying to think. Could they wrap up the story this season? I don't know.
Maybe. If this is leading to the Lazarus Pit, there's a possibility that we get rid of the court, but maybe introduce the League of Assassins or something like that. And that's...
Sure.
But would that be too much of a repeat of this season, just trading out one secret evil organization for another secret evil organization?
Sure.
I want them to maybe go full on Harvey Dent Two-Face as our big bad for the next season. I think that would be very interesting.
Sure.
And also, mix things up, going from, evil organization to singular big bad. And then maybe still have some League of Assassins stuff in the background, and then set that up for a possible season 3. Super
Sure.
duper far down the line. Probably won't happen, but you know,
Right.
that's just where I'm at the moment. What about
And then
you?
you have like Clue Master as well. You could pull from.
That is true too.
Sure. You know what? I like the idea of pulling from some like not main Batman villains. Like this is a show that can't use a lot, so pull out of the characters we haven't seen as like main villains before. I think that'd be kind of cool. Maybe. And then yeah, we have Superman Lois here. So let's quickly watch that one.
Bruno's secrets have to be exposed.
Their secrets might be a lot more dangerous than ours.
They're training a firefighter.
You were a liability today. She's a murderer.
It could be the same person.
Did you feel that? This is how we nail him.
And yeah, I mean it feels like this is a big one as far as just like the plot goes. Like it feels like we're turning a page in the plot where we might not be able to come back from. If that makes sense.
It's gonna be a very, very intense episode, it looks like.
Yeah, no, it feels like we are. I don't know. Like it feels like they are for the first time like going after Bruno.
Mm-hmm.
Now that they officially know that she's connected to him. Looks like. You think we kill her this week?
This week? I mean, maybe. I feel I don't know. I feel like maybe one more episode with everything out on the table, and then maybe the next one or something like that, and then that would leave what, 3 or 4 episodes for there to be fallout from that.
This would be 8.
Yeah.
If you said she dies in 9, that would leave what, 4 more?
Yeah.
If she died in 8, I'm throwing your theory out the window real quick. If she dies in 8, that would he goes crazy, then reaches out to Lex in episode 10.
Ooh.
That the timeline would fit.
Yeah. Okay. I can definitely see where you're coming from there. I can definitely see where you're coming from there. That would be interesting. And kind of like, I guess Bruno's like throwing his, I guess, morals out the window at that point too. Yeah. Because it seems like, you know, Lex is the last person he would ever want to ask for help. But if he gets that desperate,
maybe he just blames Superman for her death, and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna kill this man. I'm gonna break him out of prison. Or not break him out, but like maybe he somehow gets him out early or something.
Yeah, pull some strings and kind of, you know, gets him released.
So it seems like she does write the article, which I'm kind of, I guess I shouldn't be shocked, but I kind of thought she wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's because they were like, you know, the info's all out there. Do with it what you will.
Yeah.
And it seemed like, oh, okay, we'll just keep it to ourselves now.
Sure.
But, oh, no, okay.
I guess, yeah, I kind of thought they were going to take the moral high ground here.
Look at the byline.
Secret Life of Bruno Mannheim. Oh.
Who wrote it, though?
I can't see.
It looks like it says Chrissy Beppo wrote it.
Does it?
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
Maybe she does it behind her back. Like she told Chrissy. And Lois is like, we can't stoop that low. And then she does it anyway, maybe.
That's... Who knows? That's an interesting little find.
That wouldn't be smart, though, because I think Chrissy rides the line of being unlikable and likable all the time. Like,
yeah.
Like, each episode, I never know if I'm going to be into her character or not. This episode did both at the same time, I think. And then here's obviously the scene that you're talking about them.
Right.
Her meeting her parents. I wonder if...
it seems like if these scenes are connected, they get kind of caught up in whatever intergang nonsense is going on.
I wonder if John would be here. Probably not, right? It'd probably just be her, because I can't imagine him letting her go to like Metropolis or whatever. alone.
Yeah. Ooh, maybe he like says, "Oh, go
You can
ahead, go
go.
have fun," and then he's
He
secretly
tracks her.
outside in the
Yeah.
van, like just like eavesdropping in on the entire date, which would be hilarious.
That'd be great. And then I would love a rematch between Bruno and Irons. I think that'd be kind of
Yes.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping for some cool steel stuff.
And then there seems like an entire plot line with like Jordan mocking Jonathan for being a firefighter or whatever.
And I guess he like saves him too. It looks like
Sure.
because like
I
he's
didn't know he would be
is
interacting
he
with real fire.
right.
Isn't he
Yeah,
like
okay.
I thought he just like washed like buses and stuff. Didn't he?
Well, no, he got his shirt last week at the end of the episode, so I guess he got promoted.
Yeah,
He's
but
now
he can't just
the-
go fight fires, right? That's
I mean,
can he?
maybe I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how volunteer firefighting
I didn't-
works.
I thought you would have had to have gone like at least like months of training. Like
Or maybe this is like his training and something went wrong.
a house got caught on fire? Maybe. A shed?
And
It's like-
Jordan's suited up again, it looks like, as well.
Yeah. Where's that here? Yeah. Oops.
It's a bird.
Yeah.
It's a plane.
I wonder what the scene is here. I didn't look at this. Some
That's
kind of like gala.
No,
right?
that's the restaurant with Bruno and Pia and Mateo, and it looks like Natalie's coming in.
Okay. Interesting. So these are two separate scenes, it looks like, right? The conversation down here. Oh, no, maybe not.
Yeah, I
maybe
think
not.
it's the same. Yeah.
Same restaurant. Okay.
Yep. So I think something
Interesting.
happens at the restaurant during the dinner, maybe.
So how much does Natalie know about Bruno? Does she know that like they're after him?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like she probably knows whatever John Henry has told her,
Sure.
but how much that is, I'm not sure how much he's keeping her updated or in the dark on that investigation. So maybe she doesn't initially know who Bruno Mannheim is when she goes in.
Who is this right here? Is that that's Clark? Okay.
Yeah. He
So
is
she's
suited
fighting
up.
Clark again, which she said she was done last time, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest. I think she dies this week. Like I think she accidentally dies here.
Yeah, maybe like using her powers will like kind of overexert her possibly.
Yeah.
And that might
And then he blames
cause...
Clark.
Right, and that maybe after this fight is where it leads to that scene where we saw her with the blood on the napkin and all that.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is her.
Right, is she's,
Yeah.
reeling from the fight possibly.
Piecing it together. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think those are all very likely theories. We didn't get Sam either. I just completely forgot we didn't
Yeah.
get Sam this week. Sam or Kyle. Huh. There's been a lot of that this season. We're just like
Yeah,
we
just
don't have
randomly
every
absent.
character in every episode. Which I guess is pretty normal. I guess I don't think about it very often.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea when a character's not needed to, have
Sure.
them not show up. Like, I feel like not to, hate on the Flash more than it needs to, to be, because, everybody knows I loved, last week's episode, but
Sure.
I think they definitely fall victim to having characters in an episode just to have the character in the episode, even if they're not needed. So I think, when, a show like Superman and Lois will leave a character out just because they're not relevant to the plot, go for it.
Sure. But yeah, that's all I have for that trailer. I think we dissected a 20-second trailer for 30 minutes, and that's fine. So right before I let you go, we didn't talk about the crossover event together. I know you talked about it on your trailer on your channel. I talked about it on mine. What did you kind of think about it?
It was easily the best episode of The Flash that we've had all season. It's probably my favorite episode in the last 3 years, ever since Crisis. It was great seeing Oliver back. Obviously, Stephen Amell seems like, it feels like he never missed a beat. Like it feels like he was never gone. He, got right back into things. I think it was very interesting too, kind of making Oliver seem a little bit more lighthearted. Like he smiled a lot more. He hugged a lot more people. There was, definitely a bit of, I guess, lightness to it. Like it was definitely a dire episode, like multiverse shattering danger, but they still had time for, levity. There was still a lot of great, back and forth moments, a lot of great emotional moments, and just, character reunions and proper goodbyes.
Yeah.
And I don't think we could have asked for a better final Flash and Arrow crossover than this episode.
It's kind of interesting. I talked about this in my stream last week. Like Oliver this week felt like the Oliver a lot of people wanted, like that very like lighthearted, like comic booky, and it almost makes me want to see like he's been preaching he wants to come back, right? Like that's been his big thing. Like he wants. I'm not done with Arrow, and I don't know how I feel about that, but it almost makes me just want to see like. Don't give him the part, but I would love to see like what he would do. Like put him like on like a Superman and Lois or whatever, and see how he would play in that playground.
Yeah, and especially with this like I guess more lighthearted take on the character. Like he was cracking jokes. He was like when Barry was like, "Am I dead?" and he was like, do you think I'd let you hug me that long if you weren't? Like I was like,
so good.
I was like, wait, Oliver wouldn't really say this, but I mean, I guess if he's like the Spectre, sure, go ahead. Like it was great.
No, it really like I also just think it's like the evolution of his character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like seeing how far he's come over 10 years, and I would assume more than 10 years now. Like I assume he's been I don't know how like Spectre time works. I don't know if it's been 3 years for him or if it's been like thousands, and he's just popping in now or whatever.
Right. Yeah, that's actually interesting to think about as well.
So felt like season 4 Oliver. That's fair. I can see that. You have failed this omelet.
Season 4 Oliver, but with sleeves.
That's fair. No, I thought this episode was fun. Like I thought it was such a blast.
I think it's also great to mention the fact that you got the notice from Stephen Amell as well. That was crazy.
No, that made my night. Like because I created this entire account to kind of like talk about these shows and like meeting people. So that day, like that episode came out, I hit like 3K on like Twitter, and then that night Stephen Amell like quoted. I was like, "Yep, this is." I couldn't sleep that night. Like I was cloud 9. No, that was.
You're gonna print it out and frame it, put it on the wall. You should put it on the wall right behind you.
Sure.
And then,
no,
like,
take
it to a convention one day, have them sign it.
Yeah, that'd be pretty great. I thought it was a perfect ending. Like, if this was the last Arrowverse thing ever, the last thing ever, we never saw a single like piece into that this universe, I'd be okay. Like, I would be satisfied.
Yeah, I've had the exact same thought. I was like, you know what? If this was it for the Flash, if this was it for the Arrowverse, if this was the last episode, if the entire beginning part of the season never happened, if they just released this episode and we're like, okay, it's a special, like, how some shows do it with like a special like movie event is their finale, I'd be okay with it.
Sure. I felt this weird, like, I was sad, obviously, right? Because like there's a bit of sadness there, but I felt this wave of like contentment. Like I was content after watching it. I don't know, it felt like so like gratifying.
It was a very fulfilling episode.
Sure, I would say this is to me that's the Arrowverse series finale, and now we have the Flash series finale next.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would have preferred that to be like, would you prefer it this way, or do you wish that this was the last one first?
I think it's a good idea with where they put it. Some shows fall into the trap of like, bringing too much in at the end. I think the final arc is going to be specifically focused on the Flash and the Flash characters, and I think that that's the right way to do it. Arrow kind of did it very differently. They kind of spent their last season trying to set up a spin-off show. Unfortunately, that didn't work out for them. But I think, the fact that The Flash seems like it's going to do a Flash story, it's very personal to Barry. It's very, tied into the show's history and everything like that. And now the fact that they've, gotten through this crossover, they don't have to worry about tying anything else to the
Sure.
greater Arrowverse. Now that we've got some finality on that, I think it sets up perfectly for, I guess, what Eric Wallace has been saying, a 4-hour finale with these last 4
Sure.
episodes.
Sure. No, it's such a weird thing because like this season for me kind of felt like it was making it easier for me to like say goodbye to this entire thing. Like it
Yeah.
was, but almost felt like it was softening the like whole blow. And then this episode came out, and I was like, I love it again. And then I hear it's like the 4-hour finale, and I was like,
Yeah.
when? How? Like it feels like we just
Yeah,
got
like-
here.
wait a second. I don't want it to end.
Like we one more go around, and that's it. But no, I think that's a cool concept. I like having a 4-hour go around. I think that's
Oh yeah.
a fun way to put it.
Mhm.
I think that's the whole graphic novel thing done right, because you can totally tell a fun story in like 4 episodes. That's
Oh yeah.
that's like
Oh
a
yeah.
movie.
That's more than enough. And I think it's
Sure.
the fact that a lot of people said Armageddon was maybe 1 episode too long. So
Sure.
and that was 5 episodes. So 4 episodes seems like the sweet spot. And I think what was it? Godspeed was only 3. So and that was too
Was
short.
it 3?
So I think by
thought
the end, it was 3 or 4. I can't
Sure.
remember.
It was one of the two.
It was one of the two.
That
We'll
one's
just
weird.
we'll say it was 3 and
Sure.
Armageddon was 5, so 4 is perfect.
Sure. Godspeed was weird because they needed more. And I guess it's not, maybe it's not they needed more, it's just they wasted the 4. Like it felt like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
kind of puttied around.
But hey, our boy Godspeed's coming back.
Yeah, hope it's better. No, I'm curious about these final 4 and how they wrap it all up. Because next week, like I'm really excited for tomorrow's episode. Like I think that seems like a lot of fun. I wonder how long we're staying there though. Is that like a one-off, or are we?
From what I've seen from synopsis reveals and everything like that, it seems like Barry's going to be traveling throughout time for these next few episodes, which is going to lead us back to present day for the
Sure.
finale. So it seems like we're going to the past, then we're going to the future, then we're, I don't know exactly what we're doing. I honestly don't want to know, to be honest, until we actually get to see the episodes. At this point, I'm just like, let it play out.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm curious because I think a complaint from many people is that like Barry's away from his like family like
Yeah.
all the time. It's either Iris or it's Barry.
Mhm.
So I hope. I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but I know there's a lot of fans that would be very upset if like next 3 episodes is away from Iris again.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm sure there will be enough of that. And we still
Sure.
obviously also have to wrap up Iris's pregnancy and everything
Pregnancy,
like that
yeah.
too. Do you think it's really gonna just be Nora, or do you think it's gonna be Bart and Nora, and we're gonna finally get the answer to everyone's question of when is Barry gonna say we're gonna need more diapers?
That'd be. I would like it, but I think that decanons the Crisis comics, right? Or I mean the like Earth Prime comics
Yeah.
or whatever.
But I think a lot of stuff has kind of, proved that may or may not actually be the case of what's going on. As much as I love to use those panels in my videos.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting because like Eric Wallace has been very like adamant, like these are canon. I'm following their canon. But now we have the Caitlyn stuff, which I do think she will come back. I think that's inevitable.
Yeah.
Bloodwork, which was like he somehow gets his powers back at some point. I guess some stuff with like Cisco and Phantom Girl hasn't lined up yet.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the Bloodwork stuff kind of lines up because he escapes Argus and it says to be continued in the Flash season 9.
Yeah.
He mentioned that he escaped Argus and it was continued in the Flash season 9 and wrapped up. But the only thing is that there was no mention that Cisco was there. Like, it would have been great if Cisco doesn't show up.
Yeah.
Why didn't we just get a little aside that, Cisco called Barry to check up, make sure everything's okay, or
Sure.
he's like, oh, Cisco made sure Bloodwork cells locked a little tighter this time, or something like that.
Sure. No, I mean, I would assume that Cisco at least tried to call Barry the second that he escaped. You would think at least.
Yeah, maybe he's like, oh, sorry, Cisco, I didn't answer your call. I was kind of dead for a few minutes.
Which was crazy. Like, they killed Barry.
They had Wally kill Barry.
No, I think it's hilarious. Like, I bet Thawne is fuming currently. Like, he didn't get he's tried for 100 years.
Yeah,
and
he's like,
Bloodwork did
hey,
it.
he stole my move.
Yeah.
He killed Barry and he stole my move. What's going on here?
So funny. I loved Wally. I loved having him back.
Oh yeah, no, I think Keenan did a great job. I think we really got to see how good of an actor he really is.
Yeah.
Like that scene, the like the argument right before he killed him, he was like, that I was like, okay, why didn't we get more of this earlier?
Yeah, no, it sucks. Like it proved how underutilized they used that character.
And I think this story definitely was a very much so a meta reference to how the fans were feeling, is like Wally was like kind of cast to the side. Obviously there's it's a lot deeper than that. But I'm glad we at least got to see him for one more episode.
Yeah.
And do you think... Go ahead.
I kind of felt weird with Wally because I loved him here, but it also just it still didn't wrap him up. Like, it kind of just felt like, well, until we see him next time.
It's like, yep, he's gonna go meditate in the Speed Force some more.
Yeah, no, I kind of wanted a more like I kind of just felt like they're setting up like a show or like a movie or something weird. And obviously they're not. And Eric Wallace seems to have a very weird thing about like open-ended endings for characters. Like Dreamer was very like open-ended. This was very like open-ended. Seems like the Flash as a whole is going to be just kind of, and I'm fine with that part, but I think I wanted a more like final thing for Wally. Like, I wanted some closure for his character, and it kind of felt like they stepped back even. Like, it feels like he's stepped backwards from when we saw him in season 6. A character that was kind of like all together. Like, he felt like he was one with the Speed Force. That's where I would have liked to have seen him end. Like, I think him finally like being one, finding this like spiritual place for himself would have been great.
Right.
But now it's like we step backwards. It's like, well, I don't know what I'm doing,
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that was really the only way for the episode, though, to work, for it to make sense that Bloodwork was able to, break him mentally.
Sure.
Have him be, I guess, kind of thrown out of balance in one way or another. But yeah, no, I agree with what you were saying, though. Is like, it kind of feels like a step back, but also by the end of the episode, he kind of gets back to status quo at the end as well.
That's fair. That is fair. Maybe I'm just very mad we'll never see him again. Maybe that's just it.
I mean, if what Stephen Amell has said is any indication, hopefully we'll see Oliver again. Hopefully we'll see all these characters again.
That'd be nice.
Maybe we'll get our reunion at some point.
That would be nice. I think Stephen Amell, like, I would love some kind of movie or something, but I think he's grabbed onto this character very tightly, and it feels like he doesn't quite want to let go. Which is fair. Like, I don't, like, if I was him, I wouldn't either. Like, if I played a character for 10 years, I would be, like, I'm not like roasting him or anything, but I do hope he doesn't have his expectations too high about coming back at some point. Like, I hope he's managed it. It's been very clear to me that he was never done playing this character. Like, it felt like he wanted a break. It did not feel like he wanted to be done with Arrow. Yeah.
That's definitely fair. And from what he said as well, it seemed like it was just the fact that they were long 22, 23 episode seasons. It takes out like 8 months out of the year pretty much for filming and everything like that. So it's a massive time commitment. It's a massive, physical commitment as well, obviously. With all the stunt work, staying in shape year round, that type of thing. But if it was on a smaller scale for like an 8 to 10 episode miniseries, for a movie, small little cameos here and there, I feel like, it seems like from what he said, he'd be a lot more open to returning in that capacity.
Sure. I think he would love like a streaming show, like an 8 episode yearly show or whatever. Or like not yearly, but like, every 2 years he comes in and films for about 4 months or whatever.
Imagine like Arrow, the lost names on the list or something like that. It's like an 8 episode series with like Daredevil style stunt work, that type of thing. That'd be interesting. I
think that'd be the only way we come back into this universe full time. Like, I've heard a lot of people ask me like, do you think we'll ever come back do stuff like a movie or whatever. I think like 5 years from now, maybe you get like a
Mhm.
movie or like a short, like a Dexter type thing.
Yeah.
And then I think beyond that, it would just be maybe cameos, like a Flash cameo in a Crisis or something like that.
Yeah, or maybe like pop up kind of like how, John Wesley Shipp shows up as Jay Garrick and then,
Mhm.
alt Earth versions of, the character, that type of thing. I feel like maybe, 5, 10 years, maybe even 15 years down the line, that's
Sure.
how these actors are going to show back up, is in that style of like, legacy cameo style
Sure.
role.
Oliver Queen as like a Robert Queen would be kind of cool.
Could be very interesting.
Sure. Or Grant as like a Jay Garrick would actually be kind of like
That would
trippy.
be hilarious.
Everything just full circle would actually be kind of great.
It just keeps going, and you
Sure.
can't break the loop. If you play Barry Allen, you're doomed to play Jay Garrick eventually.
Sure.
Ooh, or seeing him. Okay, remember that comic panel where it was like old Barry and he was like super like massive? It was like old swole Barry with the big beard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bring Grant Gustin back in like 15, 20 years looking like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Have you heard all of the Flash movie stuff that people have been like outraged over?
Yeah.
It's kind of, how crazy would it be if it's all like a lie? Like he really is in it. That'd be hilarious. But,
the greatest kept secret since the Ezra Miller cameo in Crisis, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It honestly does like warm my heart that like even people who haven't watched the shows in a while, who don't watch it, are like, this is dumb. Like, give them the like, you have like Nicolas Cage, but you can't have Grant Gustin's Flash. Like,
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we'll just have to wait and see when the movie comes out. People aren't seeing the post-credit scene. There are scenes that are not in the movie as well. But also, maybe if he's not in the movie, there's a specific reason,
Sure.
why he's not in there. And, maybe it'll set him up showing up at some point later on down the line. I don't think this is going to be the last chance for him to show up in a movie as the Flash. Like, I think that that's something that people also, I guess, don't realize, is they're like, oh, this is the one chance. But no, there'll be tons of times for him to show up after this.
Yeah, no, I think it's kind of interesting because it almost makes me think someone's lying, because Grant Gustin said that he was never asked.
Right.
And they had said that he was one of the people that were in mind. So I wonder if like they just never reached out at all, or I don't know.
Maybe scheduling conflicts. Obviously, it's the final season was, probably filming while they were maybe filming all that stuff. Who knows?
Sure. Yeah, no, I would assume it's one of those things. But with that being said, we've been going on even longer than I wanted to this time. I was aiming for like an hour, but again, Taz,
I'm sorry. I always make it go too long.
No, I love it, dude. I love it. I love chatting with you. If I could have you on every week, I would. Trust me. But no,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for hopping in and talking about some good old Superman Lois and some Gotham Knights and some crossover stuff and some Flash stuff. It's always a blast, of course. I didn't put it in yet because I didn't know he was going to be here, but go check out all of Taz's stuffs out. Links will be down below. Try tomorrow. Come back. Or you can check out his stuff now. That's fine too.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I didn't even know I was going to show up this week, so
yeah, no,
I surprised us both.
Absolutely, man. But guys, we'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow with a special guest talking about the final arc of the Flash and last week's Titans episode and whatever else pops up. Some Batman stuff has been coming out. We'll also talk about. But I will see you guys on the flip side. Bye bye.